there is one company that I can think of that pumps out popular machines that continue to work well beyond their expiration date, it's Apple. From the iconic Apple II all the way up to PowerPC computers in the 90s and 2000s, there are countless Apple devices that people still swear by long after they should be dead. And yes, we all know that Apple has had its fair share of issues over the years. Brittle plastics, the design flaws of the Apple III, and several other things come to mind. But we aren't talking about the flops today. That could be another video all by itself. Today I want to talk about some of the original Intel iMacs that came out between 2006 and 2007, specifically white Intel iMacs. I'd like to stick with the Core 2 Duo models in particular, as these are notably faster than the original Core Duo systems, in some cases up to 50% faster. The first Core 2 Duo iMac launched in September of 2006 at a starting price of $999 US. Adjusted for inflation, this would be roughly $1,352 in today's money. The original models had 64-bit architecture with a 32-bit EFI, packing a 1.83 GHz T5600 CPU, 512 megabytes of RAM, and an Intel GMA 950 integrated video. These iMacs weren't extraordinary in terms of specs, but they had enough power to do plenty of modern tasks. In fact, users were able to upgrade the RAM to 2 GB and later add an SSD if they were so inclined, which actually helped to speed things up quite a bit. To round things out, these machines were shipped with a 7200 RPM, 160 GB mechanical hard drive, a DVD-ROM that could also write CDs, airport Wi-Fi, and zero Bluetooth capabilities. Thankfully, there are cheap plug-and-play USB dongles available that can add this functionality. The 17-inch TFT display on these iMacs operated at a resolution of 1440 by 900, with an option to use a second external display for dual screen view or mirroring. Now before we go on, I'd like to mention that most of my viewers are not subscribers. If you enjoy this content and want to support the channel, the best way is to like and subscribe. It really helps me to continue making these videos for everyone to enjoy, and it's completely free best of all. That said, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for watching. Okay, back to the video. For a beginner who wants to get into OS X on the ground floor, there isn't a better computer, in my opinion, than the white Core 2 Duo iMacs. Unlike many retro Apple computers, these iMacs are inexpensive and still powerful enough to do many modern tasks. From light web surfing to email and even a little audio production via GarageBand, the Core 2 Duo white iMac can still get the job done. Not only are they still pretty usable, they have that classic white color that I wish Apple would add again as an option. These machines are elegant, modern enough for most people, and retro enough to bring back fond memories to those of us who owned one when they were new. Now, I know that I've already mentioned how usable the white iMac is, but I know you're still thinking to yourself, no, there's no way a 14-year-old computer can do anything for me in 2021. Heck, it's almost 2022! My comment section is often divided between those who still love these computers and those who really hate them. There usually isn't an in-between. Most folks are not on the fence, although I've seen a couple who are. So let's talk about the pros and cons. Pros: if you look hard enough, you can find an early Intel iMac for under $30. I used to get them for 10 bucks, and sometimes for free. These machines can run Windows 7 and technically Windows 8 with a gig of RAM. And while not supported, you can get Windows 10 to work as well. It's not easy, but it is possible. For a decent retro gaming experience, you can even install Windows XP on many of these models. If Windows and early versions of OS X aren't your thing, you can install flavors of Linux as well, and in many cases, installing a Linux distro can improve security and make the computer snappier. If you stick with OS X, you can use GarageBand for audio production and earlier versions of Photoshop to edit photos. The App Store should still work on OS Lion, although there probably aren't many apps in the store that'll run properly, if at all. These computers still look nice on a desk, they have a modern feel, and no one would bat an eye if they saw you using this at the office. Did I mention that they are really inexpensive? There are a number of pros, but what about the cons? Cons. White Intel iMacs are roughly a decade and a half old. Speed is going to be an issue in many cases, especially if you try to perform modern tasks on a stock system. You're going to need to max out the RAM, add an SSD, and likely switch operating systems altogether to have an acceptable experience with some tasks. The more resource intensive your task, the more you might want to think about trying another machine. That's just the truth. You might have to change operating systems completely, unless you're just getting your feet wet with OS X and you want to learn more, or you're happy with using the iMac to run period-appropriate programs. It's perfectly fine to do so. It's an older machine, which means that its days are numbered. That these Macs continue to work after 14 or 15 years is a testament to how great they are, but without a lot of TLC, you might not get as much life out of it as you want. This shouldn't be an issue for a lot of us though. If you're watching this channel, you probably use machines that are 2 or 3 times its age. Commodore 64, the Amiga, etc. Watching YouTube is still a possibility on these, but it's becoming more difficult all the time. I can still get mine to stream 720p video without losing too many frames, but pretty soon this is going to be an impossibility, especially as modern websites continue to evolve and use more resources. If you're a beginner and you decide to install another operating system, you're going to have a tough time with it, but that's to be expected anyway because you're a beginner. That said, there are tons of great videos from other creators on how to do this successfully. You're not going to run modern games. It's not going to happen, and I know this seems obvious, but I've actually had viewers ask me if they can run newer games on these machines, and the simple answer is no, you can't do it. I'm not even sure that Google Stadia works anymore due to Chrome not being supported on any version of OS X that runs on these white iMacs. If you want new games, you have to get a better machine. There's no way around it. Lastly, you cannot patch these computers to run later versions of OS X. While it is technically possible, you will have zero graphics acceleration, and trust me, it is not a good experience. That said, I think the Core 2 Duo iMac is still a solid computer for a lot of people. It's insane how good these things still are even now in 2021. I hope you like this video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content just like this, and hit that bell to be notified when we release new videos. Stay safe. Thank you for watching Retro Tech Toys. We'll see you next time.